So, welcome to Rant Class. Today I will talk a bit about history. Sometimes I often rant about history and France and memes, about how they're always surrendering. Every time I have a conversation with some friends and we're talking history and we get into France and how they always surrender, I just begin to rant about that is not true. Yeah, sure, World War II, yeah, they surrendered, yeah, that's true. And that was the leaders that did that, and they were still so far behind, not technologically, but more spiritual wise, because their leaders were still stuck in the idea that the war was gonna be like World War One with trench fighting. So they just dug in. Instead of going into Germany when the war started, when Germany invaded Poland, the same day France and England declared war of them, if they have advanced into Germany, the Germans could not have stopped them because the entire uh, pro-army part of the German Reich was in Poland at that time. So they could easily just have taken all the French tanks. The French have had more tanks than the Germans and just rolled into Germany. No problem. But yeah. That's just a stupid journalist's choice. But yeah, in the end they gave up and lost the fight versus the Germans. The French did still fight every day as resistant fighter and spies and made co-op jobs to hold off the Germans. But before World War II, the French have a place as a major power, and their military have won lots of fights, more than any other European country. Just look at the Napoleon era. He won fight after fight. In his ruling of France, they just ran over every country they wanted to run over until they gave Russia a chance and did the mistake of invading Russia during winter. Big mistake. But yeah, they even back in 715, I believe, thought of a giant Muslim invasion coming from Spain. If that invasion hadn't been stopped, then the Muslim have already taken Spain, they could have taken France, they could have taken most of Europe. And then Europe as we know it would have looked completely different. But they won. And they have won countless fights over the world. So yeah, and they even helped US become US because they helped the colonies with weapons, materials, and ships to help them get rid of the Britons without actually declaring war on Britain. It's a so-called proxy war. But yeah, but yeah, they forfeited World War II. They are cowards. They are losers. All the rest seems to be forgotten. And that's another thing about talking history. And this is a total random thing, but when we are talking World War One and World War Two, there were stories about the Germans raping, eating babies in Belgium, made up by cartoonists from England, France, and US because they wanted to enlist people and make the Germans look scary and evil. And then afterwards, there was no proof of this. There was no one that have ever done this. And that meant when we found the concentration camps and the Holocaust, a lot of people didn't believe it. They were just like, well, this is just like World War One. They didn't do it. They were not evil. That's just bullshit. And it just drives me mad every time to think that it still is today people that believe the fact that the Holocaust did not exist. Yeah, sorry, off topic there. Well, back to France. Well, France have always been a fighter. Yeah, they have lost some fights as well. All nations have lost fights. That's just part of history. You win and lose. But they have in the past like 800 years had about 180 fights, major battles, and they have won 132 of them. They have lost around 40, and about 10 of them were a draw. And just just shows how a major power they are, what massive military they ever had, always have had. When World War II began, their military were bigger and mostly better equipped than the Germans. The Germans was just on drugs and able to just run over the French because they made a series of errors. And that can happen in war, that you make an error that cost millions of lives. But that doesn't change that France is now seen as a country that is about being cowards and loving croissants and have a snobby attitude because they think they're better than everyone. But if you don't believe me and you don't believe my broken English, then Google it and find out how much France have actually won during the past 1,000 years and how they have actually helped the world become the world that is today by giving us democracy, by the spread of culture and architecture and influence on how we behave and how the courts were ruled and how society as a whole were driven. They even gave the US the Statue of Liberty, and it just seems to be forgotten that France have done so much fighting, so much culture and other things that have influenced the entire world. And yet all they are known for today is being people who are snobby, who surrender at every fight, and who love croissants. And I don't believe that to be true. And I all the facts just show that it is not as true. So every time I actually see one of those memes, I get a little mad because, yeah, of course some of them is pretty funny, but it it just keeps piling on the stereotype of the Frenchman. And as long as that stereotype is getting pulled higher and higher, it will be harder and harder to actually convince people that they were actually good at something, that they actually did fight a lot of battles, that they didn't lose everything, that they were in the end the best military force in Europe for uh, almost 500, 600 years. And it's just insane that it can be like this, that the world can be like, nope, all that history is forgotten. All that is no more. Now they are just surrendering to anything. If they hear a bang at the border, they're gonna surrender immediately to whoever made that bang. And that's not true. Even now, the French is enduring against terrorist attacks, strikes, random murders of teachers and people, and that they're still fighting, and they keep fighting every day. So I hope that this rant about France and some other random stuff actually were fun. You maybe found some info you didn't know about French, and also about World War One and World War Two, and the Holocaust for some reason. And or you just liked the episode and my poor English. And I hope you liked it. And I will see you next time. Rand class out.